pocketing some of this profits and moving to offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands and such. And they did a good job hiding it because the investigators were not able to trace it all the way back, but they were actually ended up being found guilty of fraud and embezzlement. But they gave so much of the money away, it actually almost drove Enron bankrupt in the 1980s, to where an accountant had to fly up to these traders in New York and force them to show them the real books, what was going on. And this executive or accountant was able to somehow salvage the books and portray it in a way that the company did not have to file for bankruptcy. And of course, Ken Lay, when finding out that these traders were embezzling all of his money's company, or his company's money, was just astonished that they were even doing this. And he, of course, was found not guilty of anything, considering that he played off that he was the victim of all this. Even though he was making a lot of money, he was really just turning his head the other way. And it's really an early sign of Ken Lay's leadership of all he cared about was making money and seeing company growth. He didn't care what it took for it to happen. And so this really translates and was the first sign of a red flag of Ken Lay's leadership and what Enron was to be down the road. And so since this trader who was making all the money for Enron at the time was now behind bars, they needed a new leader. And so in came the visionary of Jeff Skilling. So Jeff Skilling was, he was a genius. He was a very, very smart man. But the one issue that he had, or the flaw they had, was people described him as being arrogant and very difficult to work with. So he started his career at McKinsey & Company, a very, very high-end and very expensive consulting firm in which he was a consultant actually for Enron. And so Lay saw this and he knew they needed a new visionary, a new way of making money and profits for Enron. So he hired from the consulting company and hired Skilling to run the trading floor for Enron. And so when Skilling came, he saw this as an opportunity, kind of like as Lay saw it, was this is a great opportunity for Enron to be pretty much the New York Stock Exchange of commodity trading and natural gas trading. And so the vision was there. It was a great idea, but it was the culture that he brought over that ended up being like a virus and was very hostile for all employees and everyone involved working under him. He actually had a process there called the PRC, or Performance Review Committee, to where once a year, all of the employees had to be evaluated. And so with this evaluation process, they got voted between a 1 to a 5. And if you were a 5, you were supposed to be fired by the end of the year because you just weren't good enough. You weren't cutting it for what Skilling thought was the status quo of excellence for the company. And so
boleh dengar ke saya? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Testing. Feedback. Okay. I think somebody need to mute yourself. Still getting feedback. Is it better now? Can you hear? Okay, can hear.
Mr. Ken, I think the background.
There's some echoes.
Yeah.
Somebody's muted. Not muted.
The echo is from Mr. Ken.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Is it better now? Better now? Okay. Still having the echo, is it?
Yes. Still having.
Maybe you have to turn the sound of your handphone off or how?
Okay, I think it's better now. Huh? Okay, continue from last week. We talk about Akta Syarikat. We talk about the Enron scandal. We saw the video. So the video last week I hantarkan link. It's a documentary lah. So the documentary is quite entertaining, but when you want to get the facts, fakta, the facts right, I think the one I just show is more factual, right? So they go step by step, but more boring lah, very boring. Give you the facts, but more boring. The other video that you saw, very entertaining, but maybe you find it difficult to follow the facts of the case. So I sent two. So this one that I just show is, you can see they put it down chronological order, very factual. So for your assignment, you may want to refer to this one. It's easier to follow lah. Okay. The first quiz, kalau you finish, you hantar kepada saya. Make sure you include your nama dan student number on the front page. If you didn't, then you just update and resend again lah, to the auditingclass@gmail.com email in Words, right? Not PDF, in the Words Microsoft. So hari ini kita akan bincangkan assignment. Saya sudah hantar last week also, is 20 marks. So the assignment basically is ask you bincangkan, bolehkah CMSA Akta Perkhidmatan 2007, Akta Syarikat dan Juru Audit, okay, boleh mengelakkan, boleh prevent a recurrence of the 2008 global financial crisis, and also prevent the recurrence of scandals seperti Enron. So Enron kita sudah kaji in detail, right? In the looking through the chapter 2, other notes on Enron, how it happened. Also look at WorldCom, Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff adalah Ponzi scheme, satu Ponzi scheme yang terbesar di dunia. I think he swindled more than 50 billion US dollars in the Ponzi scheme, the longest ever in history. Yeah, Ponzi scheme. Do you know what is Ponzi scheme? Scheme Ponzi. It's like a wang cepat scheme lah. Wang cepat scheme.
Cepat kaya.
Cepat kaya. So somebody, your friend come and tell you, they say ada satu investment in Agawood, for example, Agawood. They say can give you 20% per month return. Alright? Or you invest in this scheme, you boleh dapat 10% return per month. So 20% per month or 10% per month. 20% per month, 1 year is 240% return. So a lot of people get attracted lah. They withdraw from EPF, they invest in the scheme. Yeah, but remember what I told you, as an auditor, you must be skeptical, bukan? So you must ask the question, how you can get so much return. And then another step is, before you buat audit, you must understand the business model, is it? Yeah, so you tanya your friend, what is the business model of this business, this scheme, that can give you, say, 20% return per month? Can you explain or not? Kalau dia tidak boleh explain to you, in a way that you can understand, then you better don't put your money inside lah, right? So sometimes they disguise the Ponzi scheme into something very impressive, you know, like Geneva Gold. Ada pernah dengar ini Geneva Gold scandal di Malaysia? I think 5-6 years ago, people take out PPF. They melabur di emas. They promise, I think, something like 15% return per month. So ini scheme Ponzi lah. So now they charge all these people, but itu money already gone. Money already they siphon out overseas to buy things, and you know. So the people go to jail for 5 years, but the money cannot be found lah. So Ponzi scheme basically is they attract people to invest in the business, so-called business lah. And what happened is that as long as more and more people invest, they boleh take the new people's money to pay the old investor. So this generate a cycle. Kalau more new people come in than old people going out, the scheme will work. All right, the scheme will work, and the early people jadi kaya, but orang yang lambat masuk when the scheme collapses, they lose all their money lah. All right. So if you're early in the scheme, you make money. But you are late, kalau lambat, then you teruk case lah, you lose everything. But best is don't get involved in Ponzi scheme, because ini adalah scheme yang illegal. Kalau the police investigate, investor also can go to jail lah. Under Capital Market Service Act, before you can jalan investment scheme, you must register a prospectus with the Securities Commission or with the Companies Commission. Kalau they cannot show you a registered prospectus, it's a red flag lah. Jangan invest. And if you ask for audited accounts, kalau dia tidak boleh give you audited accounts, also avoid, because if they cannot produce audited accounts, dia tidak boleh tunjuk kepada you dia ada satu registered prospectus, there's a high chance that is a Ponzi scheme. Now, by the way, Ponzi scheme, how the word come about is, Ponzi scheme is the name of a person in America. His name is Mr. Charles Ponzi. He's the original Ponzi scheme fraudster, right? In 1950 something or 1940 something in America, he cheated a lot of people this way. So he has the honor that this scheme is named after. Use his name. It's called Ponzi scheme, right? Ponzi. So after Charles Ponzi, the next most famous Ponzi scheme artist is Mr. Bernie Madoff. So Bernie Madoff, dia sudah menipukan orang pelabur about 50 B US. It lasted more than 15 years, 15 years before it was found out. Now, Mr. Bernie Madoff is the founder of Nasdaq. Dia bukan orang biasa. He's quite a famous person. So sometimes when the person is very famous, he attract a lot of investor, you know. Yeah, but unfortunately, in his case, he's a fraudster lah. He's a fraudster. So to jawab ini assignment is worth 20 marks. The last week, the quiz, Akta Syarikat, is worth also 20 marks. So last week kita bincangkan in detail. So to answer the last week one, I think you already know. You summarize Akta Syarikat, the one that have to do with the accounts dan pengauditan lah. Make it into a short form that you can understand. Then the next part of the quiz was what are the types? What are the types of auditors? The one that can be get in your notes or you Google. We have juru audit luar, we have juru audit dalam, we have juru audit negara, auditor general. We have special auditors, tax auditors, investigators, and so on lah. So last week I sent you a few news articles. forensic auditors are now sent in to investigate syarikat like Bright Packaging, one company where the shareholders siphon out 50 million ringgit lah, siphon out 50 million ringgit. Bright Packaging adalah satu manufacturing company. So this fella who control the company, because he holds about 30% of the saham of Bright Packaging, he arranged with the management to buy fictitious machines and also fictitious procurement. So itu barang-barang yang dia beli is actually nothing but other than a scam lah. So he siphoned out about 50 million. So quite a lot of money, yeah. So they are now looking for him because he's missing. So they are putting him on the red alert internationally. He's a young fella. He's only about 35, 33 years old. So he's in trouble lah, right? So he need to share the same apartment with Jolo. So many people are on the run from siphoning out money, right, from public listed company, and they run away with the funds. Maybe they migrate to another country lah. So last week we did bincangkan itu, and then we also talk about how to audit this fixed asset. Just a recap lah, how to audit fixed asset. So like I say, you go to the same step lah. So fahamkan business model of the syarikat, understand the business model, then evaluate kawalan dalam of the syarikat, evaluate the pengurusan risiko of the syarikat. How do we do that? We ask for the SOP of the syarikat. We look at the ISO manual kalau ada. We interview staff. We do a walkthrough test. So if the syarikat pass those tests, that means the kawalan dalam is working or effective, then you can place a lot of trust, alright, kepercayaan on the fixed assets records that they have. Okay, so apabila you already got all this confirmation, talking to the staff, do a walkthrough test, you ask for the fixed asset register. Okay, kalau tidak ada fixed they don't have a fixed asset register, they fail. Because under kawalan dalam, effective internal control, you must have good records, right? Documentation. So if they don't have, if they don't have this records, that means it's an indication of kelemahan kawalan dalam dan pengurusan risiko. Okay. For example, in the case of Bright Packaging, bila you ask for the fixed asset register, if they cannot give, it's really like red flag. Kalau they can give, all right, then you need to confirm the physical existence. If they cannot find the physical existence, it's a red flag lah. It's a problem. So sometimes no record simple. That means fail. If got record, you got to go and check whether it's there or not, the physical existence. So bila sudah dapat itu fixed asset register, okay, you go through the fixed asset register, you do some confirmation. Does the fixed asset register tie up with the kunci kira-kira figure? So if the fixed asset register is say 31st, today is what date? Today is April. Kalau syarikat do management account, you ask for a copy of the management account. Apa ni perbezaan management account dengan audited account? Management account is the account but not audited lah. It's produced for the internal use of management, usually more detailed. So kalau dia ada management account, so much better. That means they have some kawalan dalam. So apart from their audited accounts, they also got monthly account. It's a good sign lah. Kalau monthly accounts don't have, maybe it's a bit of weakness lah, because you need to monitor your business monthly basis, bukan? Not just year end. So you ask for management account. But if you want to tie up with the audited accounts, most likely the one that's earliest maybe is December audited accounts lah. If it's a December balance date, some company may have balance date in March. All right. So the audited accounts may be in March. So assuming that the accounts balance date is in December, The audited figure will show a figure, bukan, of the fixed asset, right? So you ask for the fixed asset register, cut-off date, maybe the December also. The figure should be the same, bukan? Huh? Or maybe slight difference acceptable lah, but they should be about the same. And if you ask for the management account for, say, the latest one in April, or March 31st March, that management figure, the kunci kira-kira must have a fixed asset. So this fixed asset figure should tie up with the, fixed asset register. All right. So this is to do some reconciliation. One of the technique of auditing is what reconciliation, right? So after you have confirmed this reconciliation, the next step is you select, maybe if there's 50 items in the balance sheet, in the fixed asset register, you select maybe 50 items for verification, verifikasi. Boleh check everything ke, auditor? Answer is auditor dah boleh check everything. There's too much to check lah. Alright. So there's a technique for checking, it's called sampling. Alright. Because auditor tidak boleh check everything. There's too much to check. Okay. So apa technique for selecting the sampling? You select material item lah, big item lah. Right. Small item maybe you can you don't want to spend so much time on small item. So you select besar punya value, okay, all right, factory, big machinery, okay, you check, you highlight, then can you simply go and check? Couldn't simply go and verify. There's other protocol, protocol because you are juru audit, you bukan internal management staff, right? Unless you juru audit dalam lah. But even if you juru audit dalam or juru audit luar, for safety purpose, again I repeat, very important. Some of the auditor very gung-ho. They check, they go and check. Then they walk into construction site, for example, they kena denda oleh kerajaan kerana you mau masuk kepada construction site, you mesti dapat itu green card CIDB, right? Construction issued by the CIDB board. You got to go for safety training for a few days. Bila they issue you with the card give you takaful insurance kalau you ada kemalangan ke accident in the site. So this for your protection. So remember, before you do anything as an auditor, you should be concerned with your safety of you and your team members. Especially now COVID, you must have certain restriction, cannot just simply jalan masuk lah. Nanti you kena jangkit COVID juga. So a lot of safety things you have to be aware before you go and do physical verifikasi. Sometimes the verification involve going on helicopter, We have seen cases where they want to verify a piece of plantation land, right? So they take a chopper, Sabah, Sarawak. So again, you have to attend safety protocols on how to board, helicopter and things like that. Safety, we have gone to verify asset offshore, Petronas. So you cannot simply go to Petronas oil rig because you need to fly by chopper, helicopter. And before you can go and fly to the oil rig and the tanker and they call FPSO floating platform, you mesti dapat satu license from Petronas called BOSET license. So this license means you got to spend 1 week training. Yes, training in a special place like helicopter crash, burning platform, how to escape fire, that kind of thing lah. If you cannot swim, is it a problem or not? Auditor. Apparently for BOSET case, they don't want you to swim. Kalau you in a chopper, you crash, you try to swim inside the helicopter, you kill a lot of people because when you swim, you kick, bukan? So when you kick, the person behind you get kicked and then will drown. So in fact, they don't want you to swim. They want you to just use your float and use your arm, because the float that you wear, you just use your arm so that you don't kick another person. A lot of things, useful things you learn, like the helicopter, turned upside down in the water, what do? You know, do you quickly go and pull your life craft, your life jacket? Answer is no. In aeroplane also, you don't pull your jacket. Why? Because once you pull the jacket, you cannot escape. It become very big, right? So you don't inflate until you sudah keluar dari kapal terbang atau helicopter, then you inflate. Yeah, so a lot of sensible thing, you know, that you learn before as an auditor, which is more physical, not just not just, you know, on writing, you know, and accounting. A lot involve common sense and physical activities lah. Yeah, then only you can go to do physical. Who normally do physical? The senior partner or the junior staff? Auditor. Normally the mid-level staff lah. Partner normally don't go. Yeah, partner normally will send his staff to go, and then his staff will take down notes, record. But that staff should be experienced audit, normally audit senior, audit supervisor, or audit manager. Yeah, yeah. If it involves overseas travel to verify, extra protocol. You got to get your work permit. Last time there was a case of Deloitte, 4 auditors go to Indonesia, Jakarta to audit, found something. Next thing they know, they kena penjara because some whistleblower over there report them to police. They don't have work permit. So for many years, when we go to Indonesia, we never get work permit. Go tourist visa, because we think go there just verify not work Yeah, but actually you need work permit, right? So be careful. Now, when you find something overseas, you make noise, girl. You go to China, you found something, then you're missing. So for safety, protocol is kalau you find something in your audit, missing assets or CBT or whatever, you diam, keep quiet. Why? Kerana you are in another country, right? You don't know what connection the person you investigate got. He may got connection with the police. Yeah, you do not show the law. So there are many cases, auditor finds that suddenly something appear in their room, maybe it's a packet of drug or something, and they all kena penjara and get locked up. So when you find something, don't change your face, don't show any sign, right? Just keep smiling and you know, and perform your work. And then when you get back to Malaysia, then you buat laporan, then you buat lah. And then after that, better don't go back to the country again. Okay? So there are many cases, you know, in Thailand, especially on forensic audit, it can be risky. So later, maybe if you have time next week, you see a video. This guy called Jalil Ibrahim. He was an internal auditor for Bank Bumiputra Finance. Actually, it's more than 20 years ago. Dia buat internal audit in Hong Kong for Bank BMF, Bank Bumiputra Finance Hong Kong. Dia kena bunuh lah. But his case was done before all this corporate governance, before all this listing rule, before the new Akta Syarikat, before the new CMSA lah. So there's no whistleblowing during that time, no protection of whistleblower. So maybe have a look and see what went wrong during that time. Yeah. So during that time, he report back to the chairman, Jalil, the internal auditor. But the chairman is a problem. The chairman is involved. Yeah. So he endangered himself lah. And then he got no protection, no bodyguard, you know. So it's a sad case. Yeah, interesting documentary. We will watch it at a later time. Yeah, so before 1MDB, we already got some accounting these scandals, fraud, and things like that. But in terms of size, America and the Western world overtake us in terms of size, right? So every country also got accounting fraud and banking fraud. Okay, so these fixed assets, so If it's overseas, make sure you get your right protocol, get your work permit, and then whether you need to adhere to certain safety requirement. Kalau you want to verify asset in a factory, what must you do? Can you just go to the factory? No,
No.
first you must get surat. Dapat surat dari director, the CEO or the board of director, the letter to the management of the factory that you are visiting. Okay, ask them to provide a chaperone, a person to accompany for safety. Okay, when you go there, you must wear PPE, personal protective equipment. For example, your helmet, your safety vest, your safety shoe. Maybe sometime you may need breathing equipment if it's involve toxic gases, that kind of thing lah. So make sure you clear the protocol. Mesti dapat surat What if you go and audit bank? So there was this time actually real experience, not external auditor. This one a team of internal auditor. Yeah, they say let's surprise the management because audit got two type, surprise and non-surprise. So this one was a surprise audit. So I think Temelo or someplace we went there. So when we went there, we were surprised because about half an hour before we went, ada perompakan. So imagine, you surprised, you walk in there during the perompakan, who's going to be more surprised? The robber or you? So we might be surprised and kena tembak also. So the danger of surprise audit sometimes is you don't know who is more surprised, you or him. All right, the danger lah. But of course there may be appropriate cases for surprise audit bila you suspect there's a fraud, there's a whistleblower, okay. But also judge for yourself, all right, the safety involved lah. You also walk in, make sure there's no robbery happening. Because sometimes you don't know why. When you walk into something, it may be bad news. Okay, especially for banks. For banks. Now, if you walk into audit and then the manager give you everything, is it good or no good? There was a case we walk in, the bank manager give us everything, but in the end he got a bad report. Why? Because he didn't ask for our ID. So we asked him, how do you know we are from internal auditor? The guy said, you're the internal, you told me, Say, no, what you should do is ask for our ID, then you call up the HQ to confirm. Then only you open up your books. This again is the protocol. Protocol, safety procedure, processes. You test the process. Right. So when you visit plantation to verify, same thing also. Make sure you get your protocol approval. Right. Plantation, maybe you go by helicopter also. Yeah. It may involve staying overnight. Is that suitable for wanita? Maybe not lah. So there are certain jobs, maybe guys will be doing it because of the sensitivity, and the convenience. Right. Plantation is hard work. When you verify asset, you go there, basically plant the machinery, you're going to do a visit to physically see those assets lah. There's a true story on this company called IOI Plantation. IOI Plantation run by a Chinese guy lah. He passed away already. So there was this true story that many years ago, he and his general manager went to visit a plantation in somewhere in I think in one of the Pahang or someplace like that. So when they were at the plantation entrance, right, there's a guard there. They're in a four-wheel drive lah. The guard stopped them. And the GM went down and scolded the security guard. No, they're scolding. He said, "You know who is in the car or not? It's a chairman, Mr. the chairman, the boss of IOI Plantation. Mr. Lee, Datuk Lee or Tan Sri Lee lah. So the guard, tapet now, apologize lah. Then open the gate, let him through. So the next day, the general manager kena sack, not the guard. So why got sacked? Because the Tan Sri Lee view is the guard is doing the right thing. Security wise, the SOP is you must ask for ID, ask for whatever, then only allow in. If not, any Tom, Dick and Harry go in there, there will be fraud, there will be stealing, because plantation, a lot of stealing of the fruits. Yeah. So the GM kena sack. So the moral story is that, the physical kawalan dalam is very important to safeguard your assets. So this fixed asset we're talking about, some examples are when you go and verify. So bila you sudah verify the fixed asset, is all there. The next thing you ask, you have verified physically, right? The next thing you must verify is documentation. Title, for example, does the factory, the machines, other dokumentasi, other title, ownership title or not? Okay, kalau tidak ada, you must investigate why. Very common problem is property tidak ada title. Alright, so you must investigate. It could be a genuine reason, alright, but it could be fraud is involved also. I've come across many company also breaches of undang-undang. Ada syarikat yang ada tanah, ada land in Guluyam, sudah construct factory running for many years. Ada even substation, but there's no approval for subdivision or conversion to industrial land. So we don't know how they do it. But these are in the more remote area. State government, maybe there's some corruption involved or whatever lah. So how to record down if you become listed company, this issue is a big problem. Okay, right? So valuation, and also you got to look for documentation. Okay. Now, once we finish it, we look at the valuation. Is the asset worth so much or not? You must also look through. Okay, so for example, you look at this piece of land in Guluyam, for example. In the record is 30 ringgit per square feet. Leasehold land or freehold land lah. But kalau you buat investigation, around there only 10 ringgit per square feet. So you may want to talk to management, why is it so high? Is there a reason? Mengapa more high than market value? What you can do is you can look at newspaper, you can do a search at the land office, you can find the recent transaction done. All right, so that's what auditor will do. Will look at after they verify, they look for documentation. Bila sudah dapat documentation, they look at the valuation. All right, so valuation, sometimes they can ask for valuation report. Where do you get valuation report? Other registered valuers, land valuers. For example, C.H. William, Rahim & Co. So auditor boleh tanya management, boleh buat satu valuation to confirm lah. Alright. So for example, if the land in Yululam in a book is 10 million, valuer say 2 million. Apa yang happen? What? Impairment. Impairment. Unless they can excuse them, maybe explain that they can explain, they're going to do something to the land, value akan naik. But it must be a reason that is accepted by the auditor as rational and reasonable. Okay. So if it's higher, if the book value is 10 million, but valuer say is worth 30 million, anything need to be done? Auditors very conservative lah. Kalau is lower, they want you to write down. If up, they keep quiet lah. So if it's if it's higher, they keep up to you lah. You can actually do a revaluation. Your books look better lah. Right. So if you revalue, for example, book is 10 million, kalau 6 trillion value at 30 million, you show the auditor say, okay, this is true. You know, it's up to you. You want to revalue? Boleh. But you revalue every 3 years, you must revalue lah. So some syarikat say, never mind, we will keep it in the historical cost, conservative, all right? So some maybe they don't want to catch the attention of too many people that they got beautiful asset, so they're quite happy to keep it low. So if you look to account, sometimes you find some jewels. Syarikat net asset published very low, but bila you buat investigation, it's sitting on beautiful land, so it's worth a lot more. So mungkin you want to invest in companies like that. A good example, umpamanya Oriental Holding, for example. Oriental Holding holds many thousands of acres of plantation land, and also a lot of land in Malacca. And this land value more than 10, 20 years ago. So the plantation land maybe only 20 cent or 10 cent per square feet. But in a market value, it could be worth what, 5 ringgit, 6 ringgit. Because instead of plantation land, become development land already. So in Malaysia, our syarikat, there are some companies where the asset is conservative, undervalued. So this topic is very interesting because kalau you buat research, your own research, you can uncover some nice jewel, to invest, because some of the listed company, they are maybe worth about 20 ringgit, only traded maybe at 3-4 ringgit, because the market or people doesn't realize the other asset yang valuable. Valuable. Another good example, a company called Southern Acid, listed syarikat. So share price about 3 ringgit 55 cents, about 3 ringgit 50 lah. Dia ada in the asset, they got a piece of land in Kota Kemuning. You know, Kota Kemuning adalah satu township yang quite developed already, very very mature and valuable township. They have about 500 acres, 400 acres of freehold land in the third roundabout from Kota Kemuning. So you go first roundabout, second roundabout, third roundabout. Then you find suddenly there is a plantation land, right, on the right hand side, on a very beautiful, slightly hilly land, all right, freehold, freehold, no tension wire, no whatever. And you go further up is they have Tropicana, you have Eco World developments. The project selling very well, very beautiful township. Okay, now in the books of Southern Acid, that piece of land is called Tanggamalai Estate, plantation land. If you buat satu perkiraan in the book, it's about 5 ringgit per square feet, because historical lah. But you ask around there, bungalow land that they sell is, I think, about 60 ringgit to 100 ringgit. They are buyers for leasehold, but this one freehold. So kalau you mengkira the figure of the 500 acre based on, instead of 5 ringgit, you base it on, say, 50 ringgit, 50 ringgit. The company is worth the land itself all worth 1 billion. 1 B. So the share price should be worth about maybe 15 ringgit or something like that. So kalau you do homework, sometimes you boleh uncover, valuable assets, right, of company that the market, the investor didn't do their homework lah. They don't realize. You may find something worth investing, because you're paying like 350 for something worth 15 ringgit, right? And then this syarikat got no borrowings. It has got about 300 million cash. Yeah, and it's got other business, oleochemical, they got plantation land in Indonesia, and so on. So this is one example mengapa auditing of fixed asset is very interesting. Yeah, because from there you can nose around as a hobby. Look at all the annual report of Syarikat. You look at the last few pages. There's a list of assets that they have, material assets, especially on the land and building. You're more interested in the land because land cannot be created, right? So land is fixed. Hanya boleh naik harga, especially freehold land. So fixed asset is very interesting because if it is a major item in your kunci kira-kira, auditor can pay a lot of attention and also learn something whether the company is worth investing in. Yeah, so you are buying something for 10 ringgit for say 2 ringgit. Okay, you sit on it, maybe later, the value may go up because if they sell the asset, it will unlock the value, right? So there's no way they will sell the asset at 5 ringgit per square feet, right? So if they sell it at 50 ringgit per square feet, kalau you are a shareholder, you jadi kaya lah. Because why? The money go to the syarikat, bukan? So money sitting there, you're bising lah, I want dividend, or you want the capital to return back. Now, can the auditor force management to revalue? Boleh ke? Juru audit bising, say, hey, management, you must revalue because in the book 5 ringgit, now worth 50 ringgit. Under Akta Syarikat, there's no requirement. Only if it's below 5 ringgit, juru audit can bising, say you must do impairment. Kalau lebih tinggi, Akta Syarikat silent, never say whether you should up to management. So Akta Syarikat is kind of conservative, bukan? Conservative. I think it is the nature of auditor to be conservative lah. They like to cut. But if things are better, they say, okay, I leave it to management to decide. Okay. Now, so fixed asset quite a lot. Okay, so after all this, one final accounting standard that the auditor will look at is impairment. Itu accounting standard called impairment. The auditor will have to look at all your major plant and machinery and assets and ask themselves, is what is in the book adalah overvalue? Okay. How do they estimate? They will ask the management, can you provide me with a cash flow for your plant and machinery? For example, you run a kapal, you run a ship, all right? You run a ship, and then ask you, this ship used for what? They say used for transporting goods. Okay, boleh buat forecast for the next, say, 5 years. You say useful life for say 5 years. What is your cash flow, inflow, outflow? Management say cannot do, can. If they cannot do, they should be short because management is supposed to manage a company, right? So they have to provide it to 5 to 10 years, depending on the life of the asset, of the cash flow forecast. But you ask me, it's like macam crystal ball gazing, bukan? Because nobody can tell for sure, but they must provide a working paper. Okay, so the management board estimate, and then they use a discount rate. You're familiar with the net present value or present value? They brought you to estimate. They discount it with the discount rate. So the discount rate depends on the kind of business they're in. The auditor will agree with the management what discount rate. So if they use say 8%, they will discount the cash flow using 8%. All right. So dia dapat itu present value. Kalau present value is less than the book value, management mesti buat impairment. There were a few cases, I think, this Sapura Energy, dia kena teruk kuat-kuat lah. Because dia ada banyak itu jack up rig, oil rig, itu support vessel, OSV. So auditor asked them to predict the cash flow for 5 years. Obviously now the business very bad because oil price very low, right? And also they got COVID, they got all these problem with the business. So they forecast the cash flow very low lah. And then discount rate also high because high risk. right? Oil and gas now, bank also don't want to lend to them because they say it's not green, doesn't comply with ESG, so discount rate higher. So in the end, Sapura Energy have to make impairment of more than 600 million. So kena teruk lah. So the CEO resigned recently lah. Syariah resigned. Yeah. So a new guy take over. Imagine 600 million. And the previous year, they kena another 300 million, 400 million. Right? So we asked the CEO, hey, why you agree with auditors to impair? They say, how argue with auditors? Because auditors ask you to forecast, right? Can the business be good next year? Or oil and gas? Maybe, but at that time, no lah. That time, everybody looking at it say doom and gloom. It's doom and gloom. So the problem with impairment is that when things are bad, auditor force you to become even worse, right? So I think Sapura Energy nearly become itu PN17, because kalau you write off all your asset, then your paid up capital become 25% or less of your reserves, you'll be called PN17. Then you got problem because then you come under ICU lah, or under Busa. You got a 1 year to restructure or you be delisted. So impairment is a very important accounting standard. This one auditor got no choice. It's wajib, is the law. So you know, like another company called Surya Capital, I was told by the CEO, the auditor walk around the port. Surya is a port. The auditor walk around the port, look at all the equipment. They say, oh, this is very old equipment. What's it used for? Or they say, we don't have a customer now, it's a storage tank, because now bad times, maybe 1 or 2 years later, customer come back. Auditor say, write off the whole thing. So there's another 50 million gone. So as a CFO, no need to argue. Let's not argue until the cows come home also, your audited accounts will be delayed if you argue. So just do it lah. But if later the customer come back and then there's cash flow for the asset again, the oil tank, for example, the oil farm, then there can be a write back. Write back. But then some company, when they write off already, they don't want to write back. They want to be conservative and they just keep quiet, and they don't worry about the write back lah. So you have to ask yourself, if the impairment happen, any other impairment yang permanent or is it temporary impairment? If the impairment is temporary and the share price drop a lot because of the impairment, maybe you may want to invest, because you may see that oil and gas recovering, or certain business recovering, and then there could be some kind of write back later. Hotel take a lot of impairment now. Hotel business, banyak impairment. They look at the asset, they say, can you forecast your customer? How to forecast? But you have to forecast. If your hotel is say 5 years or 10 years life, you have to forecast. So it's difficult to be a CFO now. You have to become like a magician, crystal ball gazer. Now, why all this law happen? Because you remember Enron or not? Enron, the guy go and forecast all these things, pakat with the auditor, the other way around. They forecast hundreds of millions coming in, right? And they certify and they help them to book in. That's why they have this standard called impairment, right? To prevent such an event from happening again. Okay. So for those who have not finished the assignment, for the quiz, you can tambah lah. Mr. Pusparaja, you got join the WhatsApp group. Can you hear me?
He don't own a smartphone.
Oh, he don't own a smartphone. Okay, never mind. I will contact him by email later. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Though for those who have not finished the quiz, try to tidy up this week. I think you can easily write 10 pages on this lah, after we have discussed on all this. And remember to put in your name and your student number and the front page of your answer. If you have not, if you send it without that, you just update and resend to me again in your Microsoft Words. Yeah. Is there any question you want to ask on this, the quiz one? We just go through because some of you were absent last week.
So the fixed asset audit is until impairment?
Yeah, impairment is very important. It's the last part. Is a kind of a new thing for the past few years lah. And the auditors are really crazy about impairment, you know. So the results of a lot of companies, listed companies, are affected by this materially quite badly. But whether it's good or bad, I think it's good to have it lah, because then it will prevent creative accounting and all this fraud from happening. Like all this fraud that surfaced now happened 4 or 5 years ago, now come out. You know, if they have practice impairment, maybe they can catch it earlier. Like 1MDB also, the auditors who got sacked, not sacked, because they asked for impairment. They asked for a prediction of these assets and things like that, which management couldn't give lah. So that's why, you know, but then 1MDB is a private company without any listed company holding it. So that's why it is not caught under Capital Market Service Act, same as a. Okay. Any other questions on the quiz one?
Yes, Mr. Ken.
Yes.
Mr. Ken, I want to ask about the part of the financial statement section of the Company Act, right? The one we have to put in all the act and explain, is it?
Only for the accounts and pengauditan. There is a section that pertains to accounts, which is, I'm just looking for it.
I think 248 until 292.
Yeah, actually it starts with 243 lah.
243, right?
243 to
289, is it?
Yeah, 289. 289. So in fact, the first one, the 244, talks about compliance with the approved accounting standard. So impairment is one of the approved standard. This one wajib, they have no choice, they have to follow. If you don't follow this standard, and if you are convicted, if they charge you and you are convicted, you can be jailed, you know. Both the auditor and the auditee lah. So this one no choice, is compulsory. Yeah. And all this happened because of scandals, WorldCom scandal, Enron scandal, all these. So that's why they're so strict with accounting standards now.
Sir.
Yes.
Last to send the quiz, is it today?
I understand you got the you know, work and all these things. So I tell you what, we extend. You try to finish it off anytime this week. Just send it in lah. Before the next week class. Yeah, I really received about 10 submissions already.
Okay.
Yeah. So I understand that you all run around doing work. Some of you have to go outstation. I understand the rushing work and things like that. I understand that. And so yeah. So but remember to include your name and your student number in the front page, and send to the auditingclass@gmail.com. Okay. So just build on it. This will also help you in later the exam part, because if you can answer this, is actually is an extension of all these things also lah. Once you have internalized it and you understand it better, you can apply. Yeah. Main thing is how to apply all this regulation and law to yourself. Yeah. Actually, as Peter, go on.
Mr. Ken, sorry, for the Act 243 to 289, right? I mean, because the question is like describe the audit and financial statement section of the Company Act. So do we just we put in this act and also the explanation, is it?
Just go through, like, for example, just go through 244. What is 244? Your summaries. All the accounts have to comply with approved accounting standards. Otherwise, it's an offense. But in your answer, do include offenses and punishment. Why?
Oh.
Because with punishment, you remember. No punishment, you don't remember. Correct or not? So you tell your boss, you must follow this. Your boss say, really? Then you tell him 3 years jail. You, not me. Your boss will follow, right? So it's important to know the punishment. So just very brief summary. The law is very long-winded, it can go for like half a page or 3/4 page, but you summarize, it can be just 2-3 lines only. Yeah. So the
Okay,
gist,
understand.
the gist of it. So by the time you go through all that, you should be able to internalize, right? And know how the Akta Syarikat applies to you as a practitioner to do accounts, and also in finance. Yeah. Now that you know got jail sentence, you're a bit scared, right? If your boss asks you to do certain things, be very careful,
Okay.
especially if you sign for it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ken. Understand.
Okay. Okay, shall we move on now to the second assignment, the 20 marks? Okay, so as a starter, you need to go and do some research lah on the scandal. Kalau you tak faham the scandal, then you cannot comment. So this topic is actually to help you with your general knowledge, right? Because ini bukan perkara fiction. It's actually happened in the world. And they are very big issue, but Malaysians tend to be a bit sheltered. They don't follow a lot of the international news scandals. So Enron, I think you basically have a good feel of it by now, right? It's actually a people problem also. The people are crazy. You see the video, the chairman is crazy. The chairman actually is not ethical, right? He just want to make money. The CEO got some psychiatric problem also. He's a bit psycho. He want to take risks, so he actually take his staff to go to these trips to ride motorbike and go to do these crazy things that you can get killed and get injured. Risk taker. They want to be seen as cowboys right? The culture, the culture. So some companies got this culture that they want to take risks, they want to be macho. That's why in the new corporate governance, they say 1/3 of the board should be wanita. Why? They say with wanita, it helps to balance out. The guys, the guys are aggressive, the women more like thinker to balance out. So there's a requirement under the code on corporate governance that 1/3 of the pengarah, the board, should be wanita by the year 2025. The best practice lah. So the ladies among you should be very happy. Got good chance to become pengarah. Alright, pengarah bebas especially lah. Right? If you're a MIA member and wanita, even higher chance. Because every syarikat need a MIA member. Yeah. So there are how many companies in Malaysia? About 950 syarikat listed. So if every company need one, you need 900 accountants, MIA member. And then if 1/3, if every company need 2 wanita director, you need 1,800 wanita as pengarah. So at the moment, Malaysia is still very short. Many syarikat still dominated by men. All right. So the culture, again, the corporate culture in Enron is crazy. And also, their only aim is to make money, right? So they also practice fraudulent activities, creative accounting to show good results so that they can drive up the share price and then make money from selling off their employee share scheme, the ESOS shares. These are among some of the things that I have in there. So you need to do some research what research on the scandals like Enron, WorldCom, Bernie Madoff, Geneva Gold, Mega Media. Mega Media is Malaysia scandal. Transmal Berhad is another Malaysian scandal. Later, you will see a presentation on the Transmal Berhad, the scandal in Transmal, where there is creative accounting, other creative accounting. The CFO and the CFO gone to jail already. The CEO case still before the court case. So in Transmal case, the whistleblower was the Juru Audit Dalam. So in all these cases, one very important factor you should point out in your answer is whistleblower. Okay, is whistleblower important or not? Cornerstone of corporate governance. Is it important? Somebody nodded yes lah. Lisa say yes.
Yes,
Will you
important,
become
yes,
whistleblower? Okay, chat box. Okay, those who will become whistleblower, put yes in your chat box. Do a survey. Quick survey. Do you put in a chat box or the WhatsApp? Chat box. Just put Y, yes. Okay, whistleblowing has uncovered a lot of things, for example, WorldCom, is a whistleblower, the internal auditor. Transmal was the special internal auditor. 1MDB got whistleblower, guy. There are many whistleblower, but a lot of whistleblower went to penjara. There was this guy called Bruno, who is a whistleblower, right? But his whistleblower is because he's angry because one of the party involved did not pay his gaji. So he stole the hard disk drive data, and he went to, I think it was in Bangkok or Singapore. He went to Singapore, and he contacted the Age magazine. So the CEO of Age magazine went down to see him, and the payment was, I think, 1 million. I'm not sure US dollar or ringgit. I think it's US dollar, where Age promised him 1 million US dollar for the information in the hard disk drive. Okay, so there's the whistleblower, but the whistleblower was for money lah, because he's angry that his gaji not paid, so he stole the hard disk drive, and basically he contacted anybody who want to buy. So Age magazine Malaysia bought it. That's why they can publish all the news. So Age magazine is a second whistleblower, but their license kena gantung lah for publishing after a while. So there are punishment for whistleblower, to whistleblower. And then Bruno, when he went to Bangkok, he was arrested by police there for blackmailing, and then he was thrown in jail for 1 year there in Thailand. So it's very interesting, that whistleblower often get punished. Another case of whistleblower get punished was Rafizi, is it? I think it's the Lembu business. He got information from the bank menunjukkan money is paid to not proper sources. and then he leaked it out to the newspaper. So he kena arrested and charged for leaking mafia information. The time called mafia lah, now called financial services. All right. Another famous whistleblower, Bank Negara case, not Bank Negara, Auditor General. Dia ada mesyuarat dengan MOF and also the minister's PA with the Auditor General on the 1MDB audit report. Now, this junior auditor put a tape recorder into the pencil box to give and pass it on to the senior. The senior went inside lah. So the whole meeting was recorded. Now, why she do it is actually her reason for doing it is because he's in charge of taking minutes. Boleh ambil minutes kalau tidak menghadiri mesyuarat if you don't attend the meeting. Because she's not allowed to attend the meeting. But officially, she's supposed to take minutes. What would you do? Because later on, they ask you to produce minutes, you cannot produce minutes. So her reasoning is because she had to do minutes, she got this thumb drive recorder or special recorder lah. She put inside pencil box, and then I don't think she even told the senior. The senior just took the pencil box inside. Then later, when all these things later on, she released this recording, and that resulted in the Prime Minister and the CEO of ex-CEO of 1MDB kena charge lah. So now the court case is ongoing for changing the audit report of the Juru Audit Negara. All right. So the one is whistleblowing, maybe, I don't know. But there's no reward for whistleblowing in Malaysia. But there is protection. Protection melindungi whistleblower is you cannot be sacked from your position if you whistleblow in good faith lah. So this is in the federal, and then in CMSA and Akta Syarikat juga ada whistleblowing protection. Now juru audit luar wajib under CMSA must whistleblow. No choice. Company secretary, accountant, CFO, kalau dia jumpa anything that break the law, dia mesti whistleblow. Okay. If they don't whistleblow, they may be charged in court. Money laundering, Akta Amla, compulsory to whistleblow lah. But this whistleblow, you cannot tell the person that you whistleblow. You must quietly whistleblow. You tidak boleh memberitahu dia, you akan whistleblow. If you tell the offender or the alleged person, you tell him you're going to whistleblow, that's an offense. You're supposed to just smile and do your work, and then after that, you just report. So the danger is sometimes your banker may be very friendly to you, but behind the scene, he could be reporting you, you know. You also don't know, because there's no warning. Because dalam bank dan financial institution, there's a department called compliance department. Ini compliance department akan monitor all these transactions, and they got certain algorithm or artificial intelligence or whatever lah to monitor transaksi that is suspicious. For example, you transfer money to somebody, every day you transfer 9,999. Every day transfer for 12 months. This will be caught by the AI because you are trying to bypass the limit, bukan? By going below the threshold. So you have the AI or the software or the system may be intelligent enough to pick up all this. So whistleblowing is a cornerstone of compliance in the America under Sarbanes-Oxley, and also under our CMSA. They rely a lot on whistleblower, you know. Yeah. So they try to make you become policemen, but tidak ada reward lah. But in US, there's a reward. You boleh jadi kaya In US, if you report, if there's a case successful, you can become a millionaire also. But if you testify against the mafia, they need to give you a new plastic surgery lah. Because they'll go after you after that. So in US, there's a witness protection scheme where they will give you new IC, new passport, new ID, plastic surgery, whatever lah, so that you can start a new life after that. In Malaysia, I noticed one of the witness under witness protection scheme is one of the senior management of 1MDB. Nobody know where he is now, but kalau other court case, he will appear. Yeah, but now he in wheelchair lah. I think he come in a wheelchair. Yeah, so I believe he's under some kind of protection scheme. Yeah, where he stays somewhere under protection of some police, so that he can come and testify. Yeah. So CMSA basically have this cornerstone. So in your research for this assignment, you need to Google all these cases and know the story, write the story. So for this assignment is you have a section, maybe you write a story. What is Transma? What is Enron? You know, all the history. So that one already a few pages already. You summarize kind of, all right? And also, what is the global financial crisis? You can also write a summary, right? So to do this assignment, you perlu buat some research on all this scandal. You are familiar with the crisis called the Great Financial Crisis, 2008. What caused it? It's also called a subprime crisis. Familiar?
I never heard about it.
Okay. This is a very big global thing, global affair.
Is it a banking and mortgage?
Yes, it's a subprime mortgage. Is lumped together. They call it the Great Global Financial Crisis 2008.
Similar to that issue.
Yes, I will post a video on this. It's about 2 hours. Right? Video very interesting that tell you the sort of a story of what give rise to the global financial crisis. It is caused by property speculation, the America Syarikat, starting from the year 2001. Remember there was this Twin Tower attack on New York by terrorists, right? And then there was this political crisis. So in America, they lowered down the interest rate. Federal Reserve lower down interest rate until become very low. So when interest rate become very low, what happen? People can easily get money to speculate in property, bukan? America. So property prices start to go up in America a lot. Right, from 2001, 2002. So other speculasi property in America. So this one happened all the way to 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006. Crazy property price lah, America. I think Malaysia also affected lah. So when the property price go up, people borrow money, right, to buy houses. So I remember in Malaysia they give you this DBS. They give you loan. You don't have to pay interest for the first few years. I think last time Malaysia also got. So you book the property and you wait for property to go up, then you jual lah. So in America, it happened like that. 2001, 02, 03, 06. So when the property night, the bank will lend, okay, and then they earn the fees. So when as it get higher and higher, the banks get careless. They didn't do their duty. They just simply lend. Because easy money to them, they say property can only go up. So if property can go up, they can lend to anybody, right? Even people got no job, people got no income, never mind. They say, never mind, no need to pay interest. Okay, we will lend to you. Because the property price go up, you sell, you make money, we make money, you make money. So they actually fake a lot of the banks, they fake the loan documentation, buhong punya lah, right? And then in the America, they go through the loan broker. The loan broker can actually do the job for the bank also. So the broker will go around to get all these people, tidak ada job, no money. They get them signed and give them a loan. So they call this subprime loan. Why? Because no quality one. This guy got no job, no money, no nothing, right? Can still get loan to buy house, buy property. So that's why it's called subprime loan. And then what they do is the bank structure the loan in such a way that the borrower tidak perlu membayar interest or installment for the first 3 years or first 2 years. So if you are a person, you borrow or not? Somebody come to you, give you free loan, you borrow or not? Riza, somebody come to you and say, I give you OD $500,000. Take lah, right? Or credit card, give you credit card with 100,000 limit. Super platinum. Just sign on dotted line. Take or not? Take lah, right? So this is exactly what happened in US. Some years ago, when I was in Australia, I walked by a bank. They got this bank with a son. Say, come in for a holiday loan. So I walk in and say, what's a holiday loan? Say, sir, if you want to go for cuti in Hawaii or Bali, kita boleh pinjam you. Just sign. So a lot of students, they sign lah because they give you no question asked. I don't know whether you remember or not. Last year there was a case, a Malaysian girl, pretty girl, in Melbourne or Sydney, I can't remember. The bank give her, I think 2 million Australian dollar overdraft facility, accidentally. Or credit limit lah, 2 million. 2 million lah, more than 2 million lah, Australian. This is a Malaysian girl lah. So the Malaysian girl wallop everything lah. Then she go and shop until use up the limit. Then the bank came around and said it's a mistake. They shouldn't have given to her. And the police charged her in court for CBT lah. I think the case, she won the case. Because the judge said that she never asked, you give it to her, what? So she take it, if she cannot pay, that's a different issue. That is a collection problem. You can make her bankrupt or whatever. So the credit standards, the American Sharikat at that time was very, very bad. And everybody make money. Why? Because bank officer make money from the bonus, right? Kalau dia boleh push a lot of housing loan, you dapat bonus 6 months, 12 months, so a lot of people getting rich. Kalau everybody getting rich, tidak ada orang complain lah. The broker also make money because the broker will collect all these forms, sign all these forms, give it to the officer process it, the bank release the loan, right? The person who got no job, no nothing, suddenly got a house, right? He move in and stay there. But these people don't understand what they sign also. Because somebody offer you a few million US dollar loan, you take lah, right? And the broker will tell them you have nothing to worry about because in a few years' time, your house will naik harga. And you can sell it or refinance. You know what's refinance? A lot of people also do that. If your house you buy 500,000, after 1 year become 1 million, you go to the bank and say, I want to refinance. So the bank will lend you close to 1 million. So that means you get extra money. The guy will give you money in the bank, It's called refinancing. So a lot of people get money in the bank because they keep refinancing the property that gone up in value, and then they use the money for shopping and holiday. Okay, so this is a bubble. It's called bubble. So 2001, 2002 US, 04, 05. So in 06, anybody who can breathe can get a housing loan. Okay, so it's really bad. Now the banks come up with a new method. So they say I lend up so much of loans, I can sell the loan off to pension fund to unlock some capital. So this is called financial engineering, right? Islamic finance will not allow this, you know. So they say kalau ada Islamic finance, the global financial crisis wouldn't have happened. But because they use conventional finance called financial engineering, it resulted in this house of cards, you know, get more and more leverage. Leverage. So giving out bad loans already bad enough. But now the bank package all these loans and sell it to pension fund. Like, for example, like if EPF, you know, or sell it to insurance fund. So they package it into some kind of bonds backed by all these mortgages and sell it off to the financial institution or to the pension fund or the investment bank. Right? So like investment bank buy all this and they will get a return from the servicing of the loan. The banks will get capital back plus a fee. So the bank's happy or not? Yeah, because first they make money from the loan, the fees and so on. Now they sell the thing to investment bank and to pension fund. They make a second round. And what is better is they're not liable if the loans get bad. Who's liable now? The investment bank and the pension fund. That's why they call it toxic subprime mortgage loan. Right? So this is derived from people being too smart. They use financial engineering. Right? Through financial engineering means they try to rearrange all these things, these packages, right, so that people don't understand it, the risks involved. Investment bank want to buy it because they can borrow cheap, because interest rate very cheap, right? They can borrow for next to nothing from the Federal Reserve, and then if they invest in a subprime crisis, on paper they can get 4%. Not bad, isn't it? So the investment bank borrow money from bonds or from overseas from the market at 1% per annum. They invest in this subprime loans, package loans. They can get about 4% lah. All right, so they make 3%. Now all this, everybody very happy. Investment bank make money, the commercial bank make money, the house owner make money, right? Everybody having a good time. So the bubble get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then in 2007, Federal Reserve decided to naikkan interest rate, increase interest rate. Now what happened when interest rate go up? Housing bubble burst. Kalau housing bubble burst, who die? House owner die, right? The house owner got no job, what? Right? That's why they got subprime. So if the property drop, can this guy pay the loan? Because now the property no longer increasing, you know, dropping already. So your property value go underwater, you know, underwater, right? Your loan amount say 1 million, but now in the market, your neighbor only selling for 600,000. If you can sell it lah. So in America, the owner can just walk away, you know. The owner will just leave the key in the door, say sayonara, goodbye, and leave and then the bank will end up in the property owner. Or now, not the bank lah, now the investment bank. Because remember, the commercial bank sell it to the investment bank already. So investment bank and the pension fund become house owner lah. Okay, so in Malaysia, the bank can still go after the borrower, Malaysia, all right? But in America, under their regulation is, if the owner cannot pay, give you back the key, the owner is already off the hook. Okay, so who is on the hook? Investment bank dan pension fund lah. So in 2008 September, Lehman Brothers, one of the big investment bank yang terlibat dalam ini subprime, collapse. Ini syarikat yang besar. So ini trigger the global financial crisis, because when the Lehman Brothers collapsed, many other banks will also collapse because they are all interlinked macam spaghetti lah. You know spaghetti? When you eat spaghetti, you pull lah. They all interconnected. Yep. So when the Lehman Brothers collapsed, other banks like Citibank, even insurance company, AIG, we even have Bank of America. The whole banking system came close to collapse. Why? Because if I don't pay you, you don't pay me, I don't pay you, the money market also collapse. Right? Why money market collapse? Because you put the money with the bank cannot get money from Lehman Brothers. They cannot pay you. And what is money market used for? It's used by companies like General Motors to pay the staff salary. So if the money market cannot frozen, they cannot buy goods, they cannot buy inventories. So it has in 2008 September, if you see in the video lah, when it happened, I think the Minister Finance, the Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke, and the Treasury Secretary, they all cannot sleep. They have to come up with emergency measure to save the country, because it could result in a global collapse, because the banking system is interconnected. You're talking about hundreds and hundreds of billions of US dollars disappear overnight. Right? So this is the beginning of the global crisis, the 2008, the fire start to burn. Right? And this gives rise to QE1 and QE2. QE1 and QE2 is quantitative easing, which means the Federal Reserve start to print money to save the economy and save the banking system. So in 2008, 2009, there's massive printing of money to save the economy lah. This is to give you a brief background of the global financial crisis, how it happened, the trigger. Yeah, the world is still recovering from some effects of this. In fact, one country went bankrupt because of this. The country called Iceland jadi bankrupt kerana their banking system invested a lot in the subprime loans from America, and sebab itu the whole country went bankrupt. Yeah, only now they recover. Imagine one country can go bankrupt. That country is called Iceland. Iceland. Okay. Any question on this? It's called the GFC, the Great Financial Crisis. If you have not heard about this, you should really do some homework, because it is an international event that is very big. It's very big event. Okay, I will post the video later. When you have time, you need to have a look at it lah, to do the assignment, to find out. But this just to give you a brief background on the the nature of this crisis. Okay, the next thing you need to do is to go through CMSA 2007. I will share the slides. So the video that I posted just now, you can watch it at home in your time, the Enron one.